My name is Narin Yasar, and I'm a program manager at Science 37.
What advice would you give to new graduates, and what are some working techniques that you would suggest?
Oh man, I actually have a lot because I really, really like to give advice. And I don't like to take advice a lot. Just kidding. I actually took a lot of advices before my career. So that's why I think I get the best job for myself. But I would like to categorize like in a few categories because we mentioned about graduate student or maybe students who are watching us right now. So what I would advise is before getting job, people need to understand, all the students need to understand like the most important thing is their happiness. They really have to focus on before applying any job, like what will make them happy in next like 60 years. Because you're not going to get retired in like a couple of years. You will focus on that job like long term. So focus on what will make you the most happy and then try to make your path towards that way. And another thing that I can say, like focus on yourself beside your happiness, because how to say this, like don't compare yourself with others. Just focus on your career growth. Just focus on what you wanted to achieve. Always admire other people, what they're doing, how they're doing, watch them, listen to them, but don't make it like compare with yourself. Like don't say, oh, they did this way, why I cannot do it? Because we have to understand everyone have different destiny, everyone have different path, everyone have different experience. So just focus on yourself, try to build as much as network you can, never underestimate people, try to build good relationship and understand like what people are doing, how they're doing. Every little thing is a lesson that will help you in the future for your career. And then the last thing before applying any jobs, I would strongly, strongly recommend, especially if you're focusing on program or project management role, emotional intelligence is the most important thing for me because I get a lot of benefits that I think that I'm highly, and my skill on the emotional intelligence side, it's very high skill. And I believe that like I really issue a lot of success through this because when you start working in a work environment, you will be working with very smart, very hardworking people. And there should be something that can make you set apart and help your career growth will be the emotional intelligence. So those are my advice before applying a job. And oh, actually, one last thing. No, actually, that's good. While you're applying a job, I assume that you're always building relevant experience. And like, what do you want to do? You decided you will find your happiness, and then you should build a lot of experience or as much as experience you can that's relevant to that job. But my side note in this, every experience counts. Here's why. I'm just making up like you're a student, you're building up like relevant experience. Let's say you wanted to be engineer, you work in different internship program, you're building everything. And then when it comes to interview or any job selection, right? There are two engineers have very similar experience. They did similar, I don't know, like internship and everything else. But you have slightly different experience, such as working in pizza store. If I was the manager, I would believe that like you get like more in communication with people. So don't underestimate any experience that you have. Like when I was in grad school, I was doing side jobs too for get all tuition and stuff from my school. And I think it really helped me a lot because it built a lot of confidence in me. I felt so confident. I was more able to communicate with others. I knew I was able to understand people. And I always mention my all relevant and unrelevant experience because you never know what they're exactly looking for. And then when you apply for a job, I think you really need to make work-life balance. You should know that it's very important. Like I do understand professionalism is very important, work is very important, but if you cannot maintain work-life balance, you won't be happy. If you're not happy in your life, you're not going to carry it to work as well. You have to have good work-life balance. And you have to be you have to do a lot of empathy. You have to understand people in your work. And then if you're interviewing before the job, you have to think about that all the managers, all the CEOs, all other recruiters went through the same way. So I know you will get so excited. I know it's challenging. I know there are so many other competitors out there, but always keep in your mind, no one just became CEO right away. They went through the same path as you, so it will really help you to go through that way as well. And then you're in the job, you're working so hard, you're doing everything. Don't get away from the job or duties. Always be productive, always be confident. Even if your manager doesn't give you a job, search what you can improve, how you can help in the company, because you're a new graduate student, that's your first job or second job maybe. You have to make some impact to the company, so they should understand you. If you put all the effort, if nothing works, if you don't still feel happy, that means the environment is not right for you. And I'm a huge believer that, like, if the environment is not right, or the work that you choose, the career path that you choose is not making you happy, you should change it. Because there is a phrase that I really, really love. If the flower doesn't blossom, it's not flower's fault, it's the environment's fault. So every flower really needs like right nutrition and the right environment. Don't hesitate to change your career. Don't hesitate to change your work as well. That's, I think, all I can cover for now.
What's the most important skill needed as a program manager, and what opportunities and challenges does your role entail?
I would say, like I earlier mentioned about emotional intelligence, I think all the skills that I will mention here will be tied to emotional intelligence. Because I really think, from my own experience, like communication, being patient, a good balance of being stubborn, having an empathy, and organize are the very crucial skills to become a good program manager. If I need to elaborate a little more, like communication, we are the key person or key people in a project. Everyone will rely on you. Everyone will expect the information will comes from you, will spread it from you. So that's why you have to keep communicating with all the stakeholders constantly. And you really know that, like, everyone is working individually in every project, but you're the person who are putting everyone together. The second thing that I can say, being a little stubborn, especially in tech people, especially engineers, are very focused. When they're working on something, they really, really want to focus. They don't want it to get interrupted by something. So when you're trying to get information, it may not work all the time. So you have to push, like you have to be a little bit persistent about being stubborn, but there's a good balance. If you push so much, you will be annoying and then you won't get any information enough. The other thing that I mentioned is detail oriented. We are the unique person again in the project. In this case, like we have to see the project like is a domino effect. If we drop something, everything will fall, like everything will mess up. So, or if we miss any detail from the beginning, the infrastructure of the project won't be settled. So it's going to cause a lot of problem, a lot of issue throughout the project. So we have to pay a lot of attention, all the details. And along with that, I always think that I have very, very good coworkers. I know they're extremely good at their job, but I never like truly said that, okay, they got this. I always approach it little suspicious. In case they're human, they can make mistakes. They might miss any step. I always constantly check with them. So I think that's very important too. Like you cannot like just assume, okay, they're perfect, they will get this. You have to keep going and then you have to look all the details. The other thing, empathy. I think empathy may be like the first one on the list. Here's why. We are the program manager. And as I strongly keep mentioning about communication, if you want to have a good communication, you have to understand all the stakeholders. It's like some sort of like psychology. I know it sounds like that, but you really have to understand all the stakeholders. We have to know, as a program managers, everyone have different personality, everyone have different work style, everyone have different experience. So we have to understand everyone's work style individually, as well as their communication style. This is very, very important, because otherwise you won't get any information, you won't get anything done in timely manner. So empathy is really important. Don't take anything personal again. Just focus and try to understand the person that you're in communication with. What else I can say? Organize, of course, because you're a program manager, you have to manage a few projects at the same time, right? You have to take notes. You cannot assume. You have to be organized. Everything needs to be like in an order. Otherwise, it's going to be chaotic. Yeah. And then I think this is like the skills that I can mention. On the challenges side, I cannot say so much, but two things come to my mind in the first place. The first thing is we're in unique position, right? And in that case, we have to see as a program managers the small details, the small picture, and we have to see the big picture as well. When it comes to this, like for the business, we have to see the tactical details, tactical side, and also the strategical side as well. But when the project is running, every project is unique. So every person is unique as well. There are a lot of challenges. Everyone's like priorities can be different. So some of the stakeholders might be focusing only tactical details, tactical side of the business. Some of them might be focusing on strategical part, and some of them like part of the strategy. Their goal might be the same, but their focus is different. So bring in all different strongly opinionated people on the same page and making them agree one thing, that while you can see everything for both sides, can be challenging, to be honest, but also it can bring a lot of opportunities as well for the growth, because you are bringing all different mindset people together, and then brainstorming the new things can arise during that meetings or during that project. Another thing that challenging part can be communication again, right? We have to, as a program manager, we have to understand the requirements so clearly. But people, when they say something, when they request something, our understanding can be different. Our imagination of their request can be different. So when you keep pushing until all the requirements as clear and no further question can be asked, that part can be challenging, because people might think that like, oh, I already told you everything. Like, what do you want from me anymore? So like that kind of things can be challenging.
Women in tech is an area that I'm very passionate about myself. I help a lot of companies with this area, driving this aspect forward. What would you think, or what do you believe are like the positives and negatives of this?
Well, what do you mean women in tech? We're in 2024. We're not competing with men. We're just competing against the AI.
Yeah.
Of course, there are pros and cons. I can start with the positive side. I think working in tech as a woman has a lot of advantage. I don't think that we are getting less than men at this moment, especially for my company. I feel fairly equal, but as a nature of women, we're more family oriented, and like we wanted to control more, like we're more focused on kids and stuff. Like, of course, I cannot put it like, I cannot say it's acceptable for everyone, but that's the nature of women. So working in tech as a woman allows you better parental leave compared to other companies, or allows you to work remote so you can do better work-life balance. And it always make you feel great because you're achieving something, you're creating something, you're the part of the innovation. So it's always feels good. Always salary is good, like compared to other industries, like it's tech. Those could be the pros, and then cons could be women, our language is like a little more polite. So, when it comes to talking, we're not as strong as men. It could be less powerful sometimes. That's why we have to be more confident when we are saying something. We need to talk maybe a little more to express and then bring our ideas. That could be, I think, the only actually cons at this moment. Some people say you should put mask on when it comes to work, but I disagree on that. Like, as a woman, like I never put mask on while I'm working. Like, I truly feel like if you don't show your true color, your personality at work, you never connect with people. So I encourage or woman in tech or any new graduate student, like, don't fake it. Of course, professionalism is so important, but putting in a mask and then doing more professional, it's not a good thing. There's a small balance in there. Like, you can be yourself and no need to put a mask on, and then set the boundaries. Everything will be okay.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Thank you very much for sharing. It's great to hear your success as obviously like an empowering leader in tech, not just a woman. I love that word, but yeah, no, it's really good to hear. And thank you very much for your insightful information.